While many philosophers searched for happiness as life's ultimate reward, Arthur Schopenhauer arrived at a conclusion so unsettling that it still disturbs modern minds. Happiness is not humanity's natural state, suffering is. And the pursuit of happiness, far from liberating us, is the very mechanism that keeps us trapped. Schopenhauer believed the universe is driven by a blind, irrational force he called the will. This will is not conscious, moral, or purposeful. It is a restless, insatiable drive that manifests itself in everything, from nature's violence to human desire. In human beings, the will appears as craving, the constant urge for more pleasure, more security, more recognition, more life. The problem is not that we desire. The problem is that desire never ends. Every fulfilled wish immediately gives birth to another. Satisfaction is brief, fleeting, and fragile. The moment a desire is met, boredom takes its place. And boredom, Schopenhauer argued, is simply suffering without direction. Thus human life oscillates endlessly between pain and emptiness. Wanting hurts, having disappoints. Happiness in this light becomes a marketing illusion, a temporary absence of suffering mistaken for fulfillment. Schopenhauer rejected the optimistic philosophies of progress that dominated his era. He believed technological advancement, social reform, and moral preaching could never overcome the fundamental structure of existence. As long as desire rules consciousness, suffering is unavoidable. Civilization may soften pain, but it cannot eliminate it. Modern culture confirms his diagnosis. The more comfort increases, the more dissatisfaction grows. The more options people have, the more restless they become. Pleasure multiplies, but contentment disappears. Schopenhauer saw this not as irony, but as inevitability. He believed happiness is always defined negatively, not as joy itself, but as relief from discomfort. This means that happiness cannot be sustained. It exists only as contrast. When suffering fades, pleasure briefly appears, and then dissolves into neutrality or boredom. This is why people chase stimulation, entertainment, consumption, status, and distraction become tools for escaping boredom, not for achieving fulfillment. Life becomes a constant effort to avoid discomfort rather than to understand it. Schopenhauer believed this avoidance deepens misery rather than curing it. The will does not care about your happiness. It wants continuation, not satisfaction. Survival, not peace. And because the will operates beneath reason, humans rationalize its demands rather than question them. We invent narratives about success, love, and destiny. But these stories serve desire, not truth. Schopenhauer's view of love was especially brutal. Romantic attachment, he argued, is not spiritual union. It is biological manipulation. The will disguises reproduction as romance to ensure its own continuation. Passion fades once its purpose is fulfilled, leaving confusion, resentment, or emptiness behind. This does not make love meaningless. It makes it tragic. Schopenhauer was not trying to destroy beauty. He was exposing its cost. Beauty offers temporary escape from the will, but not liberation from it. Art, music, and philosophy can momentarily quiet desire, but life quickly pulls us back into wanting. This realization led Schopenhauer to a radical conclusion. The pursuit of happiness is not only futile, it is harmful. It teaches people to expect fulfillment from a system designed to deny it. And when happiness fails to arrive, individuals blame themselves rather than the structure of existence. In this sense, happiness becomes cruelty disguised as hope. Despite his bleak diagnosis, Arthur Schopenhauer was not a philosopher of despair alone. He did not believe suffering must be worshipped, but he believed it must be understood. And understanding for him opened the door to partial liberation. If desire is the source of suffering, then freedom lies not in satisfying desire, but in quieting it. Schopenhauer believed moments of genuine relief occur when the will is temporarily silenced. One such moment is aesthetic experience. When absorbed in art, music, or nature, the individual forgets themselves. Desire pauses. Time loosens. Consciousness becomes contemplative rather than hungry. Music held a special place in his philosophy. Unlike other arts, music does not represent the world. It expresses the will directly. It allows the listener to experience existence without personal craving. For brief moments, suffering recedes, but art is temporary. A deeper escape, Schopenhauer believed, comes through compassion. When a person recognizes their own suffering in others, the illusion of separation weakens. The ego loosens its grip. Cruelty diminishes. Compassion, for Schopenhauer, was not moral superiority. It was metaphysical insight, a recognition that all beings are expressions of the same suffering will. This realization undermines selfish desire, the final and most radical form of liberation. He proposed was renunciation, the voluntary withdrawal from excessive desire, not asceticism for punishment's sake, but restraint for clarity. The less one wants, the less one suffers. The quieter the will becomes, the freer the mind grows. This idea deeply influenced Eastern philosophy's reception in the West. Schopenhauer admired Buddhism and Hinduism for their recognition of desire as the root of suffering. Unlike Western optimism, these traditions did not promise happiness, they promised release. Modern society, obsessed with acquisition and pleasure, finds this idea offensive. We are taught to maximize experience, not reduce desire. But Schopenhauer would say that expansion without restraint leads only to exhaustion. Happiness, he insisted, is not achieved by gaining more, but by needing less. His philosophy offers no illusion of permanent joy. It offers something rarer, peace without deception, a life less dominated by craving, a consciousness less enslaved by expectation. Schopenhauer did not ask us to love suffering. He asked us to stop feeding it.